Hi, this is John Alex. Welcome to the final match in a league run with Spiral Tide. And I'm gonna keep this one on the draw again. We have actually played first exactly one match so far. There's Flooded Strand. We are 2-2 so far, by the way. Flooded Strand into Plains. That is interesting. So I think they know that I'm often on mana denial heavy strategies. There's a High Tide and a Turnabout, both of which I like. This is a potential turn 3 times Spiral if our opponent doesn't do anything. Plains and Swamp. Collective Brutality, that is annoying. Guess I should have drawn the Turnabout. But Flooded Strand Plains is definitely not something you expect to get hit with discard after. Still, playing around discard is something I often neglect, and it is something you definitely shouldn't. Like, if you play a deck that has potentially Hymn to Turok and you're cantripping for lands, you want to actually put the lands on top. And it's the other way around if you play against decks that are not playing Hymn to Turok with other discard spells. But we're actually playing a skill game, and so do I want the Cunning Wish or the Merchant Scroll? Gonna draw the Merchant Scroll. No, not gonna shuffle. And if our opponent doesn't have any blue cards here, which would surprise me to be honest, I'm gonna go for the turn 3 times Spiral. Otherwise, okay, Thoughtseize. You can have that. Likely taking the Brainstorm or the Merchant Scroll. Would be surprised if they took anything else. And here we actually get rewarded for not drawing the High Tide. Okay, so there's Brainstorm. And there are blue cards, so I don't think we can afford to go for it here. And what do we want to Merchant Scroll for? I think High Tide. Actually, I think we need to scroll for Force of Will. There would be a Cunning Wish on top of a library, and we could Cunning Wish for Pact of Negation, but that is extremely risky. And if there's Snapcaster, Thoughtseize, wow, is it just another discard spell? Wow. Snapcaster, Thoughtseize I would have forced, but there goes High Tide. True name? Yeah, who cares? And maybe it would have been correct to force. Gonna make the land drop. If we find another land, we can actually Turnabout times Spiral, which is not the worst play. Yeah, who cares? Take 3. Stoneforge. Snapcaster Mage. And yeah. I think it's unlikely they take the Turnabout. And if we draw High Tide, I'd much rather have the Force. Collective Brutality over Thoughtseize is kind of interesting. But playing against blue decks with discard is just extremely hard. Especially if they cast 4 discard spells in 5. Okay, they actually did take the Turnabout, which is not something you expect. I'm not gonna play the Candelabra here. Right. I actually got to escalate the That is interesting, I didn't know that. We do need something soon. Land doesn't do it anymore. We do need high tide. Actually, I may have countered the collective brutality. Okay, so there's turnabout, but well, we can time walk our opponent, tap the creatures. Keep player. Creature, tap. But we still need to draw, I think, exactly high tide. Stoneforge Mystic, sure, a card that I don't care about. Getting hit with so many discard spells was annoying, for sure. Now we know our opponent does not have Force of Will. Brainstorm into high tide, I hope. One of the two remaining ones. Putting away a Time Spiral and I don't know, one of the forces. Ponder. Shuffle. We do need... This is not enough. Yep, we're dead. Unfortunate. That was actually pretty close. So what do we want? I think we want Mystic Remora. Maybe Defense Grid. Putting out one high tide. Not sure about Candelabra. I think this matchup is slow enough that we do not need them. Keep Decent Grid again instead. Torn on Flusterstorm. Actually, we also want some bounce, I think. So maybe this is better than Defense Grid. Defense Grid is extremely good against Snapcaster Mage though. However, it's not good against Snapcaster Mage with this card, which makes me rather want to go with the Flusterstorm. Yeah, I would like to play first. This hand is very clunky, but it also doesn't die to discard, which is nice. And this Meditate has not done anything yet. I think the only Meditate I've cast so far playing this deck was Meditate into 4 lands. And putting both of these on the bottom is extremely unfortunate. Our opponent likely has Thoughtseize here. Well, it's not likely, but it's not unlikely either. Roughly 40%. Okay, so there isn't any Thoughtseize action. Ponder without playing a land first. This might be okay. This could have gotten countered because. So how many lands do we want to draw? I think all of them actually. And then we end up Cunning Wish for high tide. Then the next one we Intuition for Time Spiral. How many lands do we actually get to draw? We draw one now, and yeah, we get to draw all of these cards. Not gonna put the Force on top because we're not doing anything with the Force. If our opponent doesn't do anything, there might actually be a case made for casting Meditate. Brutality. Brutality is extremely bad against... Well, this card is not great against this hand because this hand is very resilient. I think they take the intuition here, which I think makes sense. They took the Meditate, great. That's actually the one card we want them to take. One thing that came up in the Miracles match is if you cast Cunning Wish for High Tide and then you pitch another one to force, you only have one Cunning Wish left and that gets your only win condition. So I'm actually not entirely sure if it's correct to only have win conditions on the sideboard. Maybe there should be another Brain Freeze in the deck somewhere. Let's Brainstorm, and they did hit a land. Another discard spell? No. I'm honestly wondering if I should cast Cunning Wish here. I think I have to go for it at some point. And if this gets countered, that's actually completely fine. If this gets countered and extracted, that's extremely bad. High Tide. They know about the polluted delta, so let's play that. It is technically worse to play the delta if you don't take the information game into account, because if we draw land next turn, then playing the delta costs us 1 point of life that we won't ever get back. Interesting, our opponent fetching. Other casting Snapcaster for Collective Brutality, yeah. And so there's two ways to play this. I could Cunning Wish for Flusterstorm, or I could force, or I could let it resolve. And I don't think any of these are good options. Because if I Cunning Wish, I only have one Cunning Wish left to grab a win condition. I could also Intuition for Flusterstorm, but then I don't get to find any business with the Intuition. I think I'm going to Cunning Wish for Flusterstorm. Honestly, none of these options are good, but with the Intuition at least I get to... Oh, actually, so they force pitch Brainstorm. And that's actually good because we didn't have the Flusterstorm in our sideboard. And now the Cunning Wish isn't an exile. Yeah, this resolves. They likely take the High Tide. And we just have to hope they don't have Surgical. Wow, they took the Intuition. Interesting. Another Force. Not great. We need business. More discard. I'm gonna hardcast Force. I want to keep the High Tide. Not having any way to get ahead on cards is extremely bad. This deck honestly could do, wow, yeah, we're just getting shredded apart. Now they take the High Tide, I would guess. Not having any way to get ahead on cards is extremely annoying because of how critical mass this deck is. Not gonna play this island, but if we draw a blue card in Time Spiral, at least we can do something. We're also on a 4-turn clock, including this one, so 3-turn clock really. Brainstorm. So if this misses, we are dead. But I don't think we have infinite time. Another Brainstorm. I think I'm gonna hide Brainstorm and High Tide on top. Actually play the land. So now I'm gonna take the damage I take. Or just, wow, more Thoughtseize. That resolves. Please make them lose the life. Taking the force is unfortunate. Because we most likely won't be able to win. We need to resolve the High Tide next turn. And if we're being honest, I don't think we are. But I don't know. Maybe having 4 discard spells and a force of, actually 5 discard spells and a force of will is all our opponent has. But I'm not sure what else they would like. What they would have in hand that isn't counter magic. And if we cast High Tide next turn, they can hard cast Force of Will. They can also hard cast Force of Will if they hit a land. Let's lead on this. Yeah, force. So we brainstorm and I don't think there's any way to win. Because there's no way we get enough cards in our hands. Okay, so can we do anything? At least if we hit a Flusterstorm now, that counters the Force of Will, but we also only have 4 mana after that. Yeah, I think we're dead. Yep, we're dead. Thank you very much for tuning in. Unfortunately, we only went 2 and 3 with this deck. This deck actually has cost me a lot of money, also in preparing for this league run, for the recorded league run. But I think it was somewhat worth it. So thank you very much for tuning in. Don't forget to vote for the next deck I'm going to record with. And see you tomorrow with a new chapter in the Daily Wars. Take care.